Bree. So today's video is going to be on what it's like for me being a YouTuber who talks about periods and what it's like to post my videos on YouTube and how I feel about it and all of that kind of stuff, because I've seen a lot of people posting comments about how brave I am to do it and all that sort of stuff, and I just wanted to let you guys know what it's like to do that. So I'm going to start back with my illness. If you are familiar with me on YouTube, then you'll know what I'm talking about. If you're not, then I will explain it a little bit more. So ever since I was 8 years old, I have suffered from a real lack of energy and a number of other things, such as stomach problems and headaches, just numerous different conditions. In October 2012, I was diagnosed with ME, which stands for myalgic encephalomyelitis. It's also more commonly known as CFS, chronic fatigue syndrome. And at first, I really did not want anyone to know about this, that I had this illness, because I was kind of like, it sounds funny, you know, to say I have a chronic illness when for so long you've been, as healthy as you could be. Until that point, you've never had a name for your illness, so it's kind of like a little thing. But when someone tells you it's a chronic illness, it kind of really hits you with a force. Yeah, so after that, I didn't want anyone to know about it, but it was getting really difficult for me to go to school. I was really struggling with that, and in February 2013, I had to stop going to school completely. I remember the day that I had to stop going to school very well, ironically, as you'll see in a second, because I woke up, it was a Thursday, I woke up like I would normally, and in my room I always had my uniform, which has been the same for the 5 years I was at that school, on a chair in my room. And I got up, got out of bed, and I went to get changed, and I held the skirt out, and I could not figure out how to put my skirt on, and I was just in a complete state of panic after this, because it was the first time for me that I saw that this illness had really got into my head and was playing around with my brain and stuff. About 20 seconds later I could figure it out fine, but it really was really panicky for me, and it was really scary as well. I was terrified, to be honest, and it was luckily Thursday was the day my mum had off from work, and she came in and she said, right, you're not going to school anymore, you know, if you can't figure out how to put your skirt on, what you're going to learn when you go to school. And I was starting to realise that teachers were talking to me, saying something as simple as, open your book and read page 83. And it would take me 10 seconds to kind of process this, because it would sound like they're speaking in a foreign language to me, and I'd be kind of like, what's going on? And at first I thought it was my dyslexia, because I do have dyslexia, but then I realised it was the ME that was taking over, and it had reached one of its worst points, or at least I thought it had. Anyway, so in February I stopped going, and then after that I deteriorated dramatically, and I kind of had to accept that I was going to get a lot worse before I could get any better. So kind of towards the end of February I was stuck in bed all day, I was achy, I was sick, I felt nauseous constantly. To eat my food, to pick up a fork to my mouth and eat was just exhausting. It was horrible for me. And throughout that time, you can imagine that having periods is not the best thing, because you don't feel at your best when you've got your period, and when you've got a chronic illness and your period, they do not mix well at all. They clash with a bang. And it started getting painful, it started getting uncomfortable. Sitting in bed with a disposable on was horrible, and it was just awful. But in February, March, April time, I discovered the Maluna cup. And I thought this was a fantastic idea for a menstrual cup. I had had a Moon cup before then, but it hadn't worked for me. But then I discovered the Maluna cup, and I bought it off Feminine Wear, and I tried it out, and it was incredible. I wasn't uncomfortable. I wore it to dancing. Now, when I say dancing, what I really was going to was a stretch class where I would stretch out my muscles so they don't seize up, because when you're in bed all the time, you can imagine you get very stiff. So that's what I did. It wasn't really dancing. But yeah, so I was trying to deal with my periods through all of that. Now, ever since I got my periods when I was 14, I have not disliked them at all, because throughout the, well, it was 8 years, so half my life that I've been sick, you know, I was dealing with stomach problems, as I said before, headaches and lots of stuff, and you don't feel quite normal when you're doing that, because all your friends can go and they can play all this stuff, and you're having to go and lie down on the sofa and sleep for an hour because you can't keep up with them. So for me, getting my period was the first normal thing that had happened to me, and I was so pleased with it, because anyone who knows me will tell you that I love kids, and you probably all figured this out by now, but it was the first step to me towards being able to have a family of my own in the future, and it gave me an extra, I guess, motivation to get better, because it meant that I was now officially able to have kids. Of course, we now know it's not as simple as having a period, meaning you can have kids, but it was the start of a process for me, and it really did give me extra motivation towards getting better. So when my period started getting really painful, that to me was like a red light in my head, and I started thinking, whoa, is something going wrong with my period? Because body, you can screw yourself up in any way, but don't you dare touch my fertility. A baby will come out of there some way, somehow it's going to happen. I will have children. There was no way I was letting this thing roll me. So in that point I decided I was going to start a full-out war on my body. And that was the first mistake I made, because starting a war against your body is not a good thing to do. You've got to learn to work with your body as opposed to against it. And for someone who's sick and whose body is not cooperating them very well, it's very hard to even like your body, let alone learn to love it. But it did happen. And it was when I discovered reusable menstrual products I realised, actually, you know what, this stuff can be a whole lot better. And you always think your periods are gross beforehand, they're sticky, they're itchy, they're sweaty, they smell, and then all of that just goes when you use cloth pads and menstrual cups. Well, it did for me. I'm not going to say it happens to everyone, but it did for me. And my periods got lighter and shorter. Some people find they get less cramping. That didn't happen for me, but I did get the lighter and shorter period part of it, which I thought was pretty good. And yeah, I thought about, well, what else are people telling me that I am believing and probably I shouldn't? I thought, body image. You know, girls have this whole thing, they need to be perfect and stuff, but now I never look at a box and wonder how many calories is in it. I just eat if I want to eat it, you know, because I personally believe that beauty is confidence, and if you have body confidence, then you will be beautiful no matter what. So having accepted that was just a huge step for me, and I think that now I get on my body pretty well. And yeah, we have the odd fallout, like when my uterus decides to stab itself in the gut every time I have my period. You know, that's just life. I have to deal with that. I am figuring it out. Uterus, you better behave yourself. And so with all that said, I got body confidence about all these things, and you know, I started accepting that my body is my body, and if I want to be beautiful, I just have to believe I am. And that is the fundamental step to making a difference in your body, and making a difference to how you feel and how your outlook on life is. So after all that, I decided that actually, you know, I had never been told about reusable menstrual products. I never got told about them in school or anything, and I was going to change that. I feel that as girls, we all have the right to know all of our options out there. Even if you don't choose reusable menstrual products as what you use for your period, at least you know they exist. And if in the future you decide you may want to use them, then that's fine too. But as long as you know they're there and you know that you were informed about all your options, then that is my main aim, and I couldn't ask for anything more. Another part of it was that my friends, well, the girls in my class at school did find out I did this, and they weren't really supportive. Well, understatement century, they weren't supportive of me at all, to be honest. But I didn't let that bother me, and I'd met by that point this amazing group of women who just talk about their periods and realised it's okay to talk about your periods. And at that point I realised, you know what, it doesn't matter what these girls say because I don't see them anymore. And you know, I think I've actually matured a lot since I left school from being sick and realising I could do all this stuff. I mean, heck, I run my own business now. That's pretty impressive if I do say so myself. Yeah, I don't let it bother me anymore. If they saw that, that's cool. But my main thinking is, you know, if any of you out there are thinking, why the hell is she making videos of periods? I just think to myself, well, could you actually take a camera, and I mean, not would you want to, but could you physically take a camera, film yourself and post it on YouTube, showing your face and everything and talking about your period? Could you do that? And if you couldn't, then think twice before you post a nasty comment. When I make these videos, yeah, I do have days when I'm kind of like, what am I doing? You know, people are going to be horrible about this and all sorts of stuff. But then I think, you know what? If one person watched all my videos and decided, you know what, yeah, I'm going to give that a try, and oh my gosh, I never realised that was there, thank you so much for posting that, then that is what makes my day. And I will continue to do this because I believe it's important, and I believe that we all, as women, need to understand that our bodies are our bodies. We don't have to give the control to anyone else, and that you have the right to know what you put against and inside your own body. So that is basically it as to why I talk about my periods and talk about periods in general and reusable menstrual products. So I hope you guys enjoyed this, and thank you so much to all of you who have supported me right from the start and continue to support me every day. It means the world to me. I will conquer this illness eventually, and as I do it, you guys are going to be right there with me. So thank you so much for watching, everyone. Please subscribe and like the video, and I will talk to you later. Bye bye.